electric cars have been rolling in thick and fast into the Indian market. Over the last 2 years itself, the list has swollen to a number that you cannot count on your fingers anymore. On one end of the spectrum, you've got cars that cost under 20 lakhs, under 30 lakhs, and on the other end of the spectrum, you've got cars that cost close to 1 crore. But the trouble with this very broad BEV spectrum in India is that the space in the middle is kind of empty. Well, that's where the Volvo XC40 Recharge comes in. It promises a range of more than 400 kilometers on a single charge. It promises exceptional performance as well, and a lot more. And to find out exactly what it offers, we've got the car here with us for you. But before we get into it, do remember to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you get notified every time we go live with new content on Auto Today. The XC40 Recharge we drove looks nearly identical to its ICE counterpart, save for the closed-off front grille and the alloy wheels. And of course, a sprinkling of badges all around announcing its electric credentials. However, the version that will be delivered to customers in India will look a little different, since buyers will be getting the facelifted SUV that you see on your screen that made its debut recently. The differences between the cabin of the petrol XC40 and the all-electric XC40 Recharge are very minor, but there are significant changes in the way you interact with the vehicle. For starters, this portrait format touchscreen is Android based, so you get integrated maps, so you don't really need to pair with your phone for Android Auto to access Google Maps. It's all inbuilt. There is a SIM embedded in the car, so you get all the traffic data. And Volvo has made slight changes to how the maps display data on the screen. It's all too familiar. It's the same as you would see on your phone or on your screen through Android Auto. But in addition to that, there's also this small display which tells you how much battery percentage will be remaining when you reach your destination. So that comes in quite handy, especially in case of this being an electric vehicle. Aside from that, you get apps inbuilt into the touchscreen infotainment. You have YouTube Music, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Books, etc. And that is basically what this touchscreen brings to the table. For the driver, there's a digital instrument panel, and this again integrates with the Android-based touchscreen infotainment, so it also beams navigation data. The display is again very similar to what you would see on your screens in case of navigation through your phone or via Android Auto. So you get the same display, the familiar traffic data and directions, etc. And it also tells you the battery percentage and your speed, of course, and the gear you're in. There's also this range optimizer button, and if you turn it on, will optimize climate control functionalities to maximize range, sort of like in eco mode, but it does not affect the way the vehicle performs, the way the power is delivered, or the way the steering behaves. Aside from these two key aspects of the XC40 Recharge, you get a whole host of features which you would expect from a luxury car at this price point. You get electrically adjustable seats with memory function. You get a Harman Kardon audio setup. There's a massive panoramic sunroof which can be opened via this touch-sensitive panel here. So you just slide your finger and the sunroof opens. There's also wireless charging and cup holders and this storage underneath the armrest. Despite the addition of a battery pack along the floor of the XC40, there hasn't been any change in the amount of space you get in the rear seat, and especially with the floor, it hasn't been raised, so you get the same amount of headroom. The knee room as well remains the same, and there's plenty of space underneath the front seat for me to stretch out my legs. My height is 5'8" for reference, and this seat is adjusted to my driving position, and as you can see, there is enough knee room for me. There's enough space for my legs to stretch out underneath the seat, and headroom is plenty as well. The only issues which were there with the XC40, which are there with the XC40 petrol as well, are the fact that the seat back is a little too upright, and the seating is slightly knees up, so under thigh support isn't the best. But aside from that, it is spacious enough. With the panoramic sunroof, it feels spacious, and it's fairly comfortable to be in. The XC40 Recharge has a 414 litre boot, but the space saver eats into it. However, you do get an additional storage in the form of a 31 litre trunk under the bonnet. So, the first thing that's different about the XC40 compared to your regular ICE vehicles is that once you get into the car, there's no on button. You just get in, press the brake, shift into drive, and you're good to go. And once you get going, you realize the usual electric vehicle stuff. It's quiet, there's no engine noise, it's very smooth, and because of a lack of moving parts, it also feels supremely refined compared to any petrol or diesel vehicle. The Volvo XC40 Recharge gets a twin motor setup, so you get a motor on each axle, which gives it all-wheel drive capability. And the power output and the torque outputs are quite impressive, especially for an entry-level luxury SUV. You get 408 bhp of maximum power and 660 Nm of peak torque. That's quite a lot, and that is reflected in the straight-line acceleration because you float the throttle and this car just pulls forward with so much ease and so much force. To put things into perspective, this will do 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. Compare this with the entry-level Porsche Taycan. That does 0 to 100 in 5.4 seconds. So this is very quick in a straight line. And once you get over just how quick it is in a straight line, you get to the handling bit, and that again with the lower center of gravity and the slightly firmer suspension setup, it is quite sporty. You will enjoy driving it enthusiastically. And speaking of driving it enthusiastically, through the menu you can actually select an option that lets you enhance or just add some more weight to the steering. So if you're out, if you want to enjoy a set of twisties, then yeah, you can just get into the driving menu and click on steering wheel firm. So it firms up, adds weight to the steering wheel. The other thing is there is of course regenerative braking, but as standard there is no regen happening while you lift off the throttle. So it just rolls, there is no regen happening. You can turn it on by turning on one pedal drive, which basically means every time you take your foot off the throttle, regenerative braking starts to happen, and it is quite intense in the XC40 Recharge's case. It is almost, not even almost, it is exactly like mild braking. And it's called one pedal drive because you can use it to actually just completely negate the use of the brake pedal. You can, if you time it right, if you get the feel for it, and you're in a place which doesn't have unruly traffic like India, you can actually just rely solely on the accelerator and just regen braking to get you to a stop. The battery pack in the XC40 Recharge is a 78 kWh pack, and you get a claimed range of over 400 kilometers according to WLTP testing. Realistically speaking, based on how much we've driven today and behavior of the battery with a mix of city driving and highway driving, and in fact even heavy throttle inputs, getting a range of anywhere between 300 to 350 should not be a problem. In fact, if you're more careful with the throttle, you can even go beyond that. So that's fairly decent for a car at this price with this kind of a battery pack. Charging wise, since it is a big 78 kWh battery pack with a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger, which is what is available in India currently, you'll need almost 2 hours to get up to 80%. An 11 kilowatt AC wall mounted fast charger that can be installed in your home or office parking will juice up the XC40 Recharge in 10 hours or so, which means an overnight charge should be sufficient for a week's worth of running, assuming the user averages around 40 to 50 kilometers daily. The price of the Volvo XC40 Recharge will be announced in July this year, and that's when bookings will open as well. Deliveries to customers will commence in October this year. The all-electric SUV from Volvo impresses on all counts, and with its more affordable price tag relative to current luxury EVs on sale, it should give a strong push to India's adoption of electric mobility, especially in the luxury segment. What do you think of the Volvo XC40 Recharge? If you have any comments, please feel free to share them in the section below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and do remember to share and subscribe.